first I thought you and the others were gods. Then I realized you were just men.
Don't mind me. Just trying to look chivalrous.
The place wasn't meant for you.
And I always felt this place was missing a real villain. Hence my humble contribution.
Doesn't look like anything to me.
All right, we are back here talking about Westworld Season 2, Episode 4, The Riddle of the Sphinx. I'm here, just me and Alex. Alex, how you doing? Good, good. Very excited to talk about this episode. Yeah, I think this... I just rewatched it again. I think this might be top 3 episode for me of the series overall. So, what's your opinion on it? Yeah, I would probably put my top 3 as this one, the one where we find out that Bernard is a host, and the finale of last season. I'd say those are my top 3 in some order. But yeah, this is a very great episode. We learn a lot. We get a lot of information about William as a character and Bernard and some of his backstory. Elsie's back, so a lot to talk about. So, you want to just jump right in? Alright, so we open up. I don't know, have you watched Lost at all? Okay, so the opening here is very similar to Season 2, Episode 1 of Lost, where we see inside of the hatch and we see Desmond, and he has like a exercise bike as well. We have just like this 5-minute panning shot around the room, very artistic, where we see the inside of this facility. What was your first thought when you saw this scene? What was your, do you have any, initial feelings about what this room might be, or, who we might have found in it before it was revealed that it was Delos? Yeah, and, Teresa and stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. And so we get the reveal that it's Delos who's staying in this room, or at least a certain version of Delos. And we get the first. I believe the scene plays 3 times in different time stamps throughout the episode. We get the first iteration of the Delos robot loop. What do you think about that initial looping? So when William comes in and they have a little conversation there, did you get any sort of inclination of what was to come later in the episode at that point? Okay. All right, so you were fully you were in the same mindset that the Delos robot was in this instance, and I think that's what the show kind of intended you to do. The first, you were basically unraveling what was going on as Delos was unraveling it. I thought that was really cool, especially as they play the scene over 2 more times. Right. And then you finally see the sheet where it shows the dialogue of the conversation. You have that realization. Yeah, no, I thought that was very cool. I thought this episode overall was very well shot. This is the directorial debut of Lisa Joy, who's one of the showrunners. So it's the first time she's directed anything. This is, yeah, I would agree. Yeah, so that was one of the main like 3 storylines we have, and then I believe we cut to William with Lawrence after that. And so William and Lawrence, right? And so William and Lawrence are on their way to Las Mudas, or they're on their way west, but they're going to cut through Las Mudas, which is Lawrence's character's hometown. Yes, where his wife and his daughter are. And we also see the Confederados have kind of taken control of the town a little bit and are holding everybody hostage in fear. And we get a... Yeah, that's an interesting thing to bring up. There's a lot of cases, because actually we kind of skipped over something on their way there. We have them stop by these like laborers who are building a railroad using the bodies of hosts and guests, I believe, as the cross rails in the railroad, which is pretty messed up. And we just openly see them just like drive a spike through a guy's head. And yeah, so William actually mentions in that scene that they're kind of off loop because their storyline is supposed to send the railroad north, but Ford's whole like game is redirecting them west, and everyone is now going west. And so now this is kind of like going back to the episode 1, where at the end we see all the hosts like dead in the flood. And like the question is whether like that is Ford's plan, is to get all of the hosts to go west so that he can flood the valley and kill them all. Yeah, and we can talk later about when we get into the Bernard stuff and the like red cupcake little mind things. Who exactly that second host brain is for. We can talk about some motivations behind that person potentially coming back from the dead, and whether that's Ford. But go back to the William stuff. What was your first inclination seeing all the Confederados taking over Las Mudas? And where do you think that was going to go, or were you just kind of along for the ride? Right. Yeah. Yeah, Teddy saved them just so they could die immediately. I guess, yeah. Yeah, well, they're certainly on a mission now, so. Yeah, so we see everybody in the town basically being held hostage by fear, and Craddock, the leader of the Confederados, doesn't want to make a deal with anybody. He shoots the elder, and we have William and Lawrence in the corner cowering and talking about how they're going to get out of this situation. And we get a really good line. This is one of my favorite lines. This is like one of the only kind of light lines in the episode where like there was some levity to it, where William tells Lawrence says to William, you have a daughter, right? And William's a little bit taken aback by that, and he says, would you want your daughter want to see you what was the line? It was like, Would your daughter want to see you gunned down right in front of her? And he's like, probably. Yeah. Absolutely. Something we discussed on last week, I believe, as well. Right. I mean, I had that inclination, but it was like mostly the million people on Reddit saying, "Oh, it's Emily, it's Emily." That really pushed it over the edge. Yeah, so we have William making the decision to kind of double-cross Lawrence here. Lawrence gives him some information about the weapon storage, and he decides to team up with the Confederados. But for now. Go ahead. Yeah, I mean... Yeah, honestly, this is like the first episode where we get some sort of empathetic characterization of at least older William, the Man in Black version, because later on, before he does the whole shoot 'em up thing, we get like flashbacks of his wife's death and all of that. And that's a big theme for this episode, is kind of him internalizing his past and moving on from it. So, do you want to continue with the William storyline to its end, or do you want to jump over to Bernard and Elsie here? Yeah, okay, so we have Bernard and Elsie, or we have Clementine dragging Bernard to the edge of the cave, and then just, zombie Clementine, and then just leaving him and just walking away. And she doesn't really have any kind of clue, or, do you think that Clementine's making decisions here, or is she just like an actual zombie that's being controlled by Ford or the narrative or whatever? Yeah, that's what it seems like. Yeah. Well, is she under control of Dolores, though, or is she under control of Ford? What do you think? Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't even think that Dolores knows that Elsie is there. I think the only people that know that Elsie is there are probably Bernard and Ford. And Bernard doesn't even know because he forgot. So, I think that it makes sense that it's probably Ford who's driving Clementine to bring Bernard and Elsie back together for a loving reunion. And we find Elsie in the cave, chained up, subsisting on protein bars and a bucket, from her own words. This looks like food. Is this the sustenance you require? Yeah, so Elsie is super thrilled to see Bernard. She's just... Yeah, it's like it. Yeah, it feels like, because this happened approximately a season ago, right? This happened, I think, in episode 7 of last season, so like 6 or 7 episodes ago. But as far as the storyline is going, I think it only has been a few days, like 2 or 3 days. Yeah, probably 1 or 2 days before the gala, and now it's 1 or 2 days after, so... Yeah, she's only been there for a few days, so she looks rough, but I mean, she looks nice for being chained up and starved for 3 days. And Yeah, so Bernard lets her loose. He shoots the lock off of her, and she doesn't seem to flinch at that. I'd be a little taken aback if somebody just shot a lock off like 5 inches away from my foot, but and she immediately just takes the gun from Bernard, and we get an amazing scene of acting here from Jeffrey Wright, where he's collapsed and malfunctioning. Hi, yeah, he still needs to be fixed, and because everyone who's tried to fix him has been pretty incompetent about it. So, hi, Arena Ventura in the chat. Thank you for stopping by, talking about Westworld here. So yeah, we have Elsie discovering that Bernard is a host and being a lot less surprised than I would expect. She took it pretty well. Yeah, where she's like kind of working through it like everybody at home. Like Elsie this episode was very much like the audience last season. Just like, oh my god, Bernard's a host. Wait, hold on, Ford is dead? Oh my god. Oh boy. Oh no. Well, that's unfortunate. We might have to start over. Yeah. Okay, so hello, the one who walks through fire.
Stay frosty.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to do this the best. Boop, boop, boo. Yeah, we're getting desktop audio, but you... Hold on. Because when I played the thing... that also played. Like, if I played this, that'll play. So the desktop audio is coming through, but your voice isn't happening on the desktop audio. Maybe. Alright, you want to switch over? Alright, you want to try now? It is not coming through on the desktop audio. That's so bizarre. Well. Recap is happening, but there's some technical difficulties where we cannot hear my co-host Alex. 1 second.
Some weird driver thing.
Oh,
where
I got it. I fixed it. All right. Okay. I think so. Hold on. Wait. I didn't save the settings though. I fixed it and then didn't save the settings.
Testing. Testing. 1, 2.
All right. It looks like it's working now.
Hey, it's working.
Okay.
I hear me on YouTube.
Yeah. All right. So where were we?
All right. So we were in the cave, and Elsie is just figuring out that Bernard is a host.
Okay, so we have Elsie coming to this conclusion that Bernard is a host, and then she says, "All right, screw this. I'm gonna go tie Bernard up after I fix him, and I'm gonna leave him stranded in this cave."
Yes, definitely still does not trust him at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty understandable, right? I mean,
yeah, who wouldn't?
The last encounter she had, he knocked her unconscious, choked her out, locked her in a cave, and then she found out that he's been lying about his identity, or at least, not being forthcoming about his identity.
Right.
So Bernard stops her and says, the people aren't coming to save us. you should probably just stay together here. And then we get a little flashback scene. We have a couple of these flashback scenes during the episode where Bernard kind of learns about past things that he's done, where he's understanding what this cave is and the facility inside of it, and his sort of role within this bigger game that they've been talking about.
Right, and I guess to start off, I really love those scenes where it's he could be talking to Elsie at one point and then just see that ghost of him come by.
Yeah.
And it's a little thing. I just really like the style of it, I think.
It's really cool the way it's shot too and everything. It's and the whole is this now? And then he's just having a conversation, and it turns out he's having a conversation with himself within a memory.
I wouldn't call it hand-holding, but it's almost a little bit of hand-holding this episode where they do help you along. This is the timeline. This is now.
Yeah.
This happened in the past.
Yeah, especially Elsie. They have a lot of extrapolatory dialogue.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's definitely helpful because I think this season, even more, it might be on par with last season, getting confused between the storylines, but I think even this season might be a little bit more ambitious, and they don't want to lose viewers halfway through the season.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair point. But I mean, I think there are enough mystery. There was a lot of mysteries happening, but you didn't really know that there were a lot of mysteries happening because the story felt very straightforward. And so it's kind of hard to tell whether this season things are actually more straightforward or things aren't straightforward and there's just a lot of mysteries we don't understand yet, or we're just we're just better at kind of piecing things together now. And a dream that Ford had the day that the park opened.
Right, that's actually Bernard. I mean Arnold.
Arnold, yeah. Oh wow! And then and Stubbs. That's actually Stubbs' grandfather. And they just look exactly the same. Oh man. But yeah, I mean, you know, even this episode though, we get the reveal at the end that like this Grace character who was introduced last episode was Emily, and even though you know the entirety of Reddit kind of figured that out immediately,
Yep.
It was still a big reveal. So there's not a ton of there's more hand holding in like these specific scenes, but not.
Yeah.
I would say overall as far as the like.
No,
macro
definitely not
story goes.
overall. I think it was almost like I think it almost felt like hand holding because we were figuring out the mysteries too.
Yeah, I would agree
Or
with that.
it was the reveals. So.
Right. And so we have Elsie and Bernard enter in this facility.
Mm-hmm.
And what was your initial thought when you saw like the dead scientists flayed across everywhere and the blood everywhere and everything's destroyed?
Initial thought was that it was just maybe a like a failsafe or the countermeasure. The part goes down, and they just have the those protector hosts, the white ones on the inside, just kill all the scientists. That was the initial thought.
Yeah, I mean that seems very Ford-like.
Right.
Things
Cover
go
the
wrong.
tracks.
Things go wrong.
Yeah.
Just kill everyone who's
Yeah.
who's a liability. Yeah, so Bernard is still kind of glitching out, and Elsie is just kind of like nailing him with questions like, you know, what's going on here? What is this place? Were you a part of this? You know, did you do all this, or do you know who did this? Are you still under Ford's control? And Bernard's just like, please just give me some of the fluid stuff.
Not in so many words, just
Yeah.
kind of
It's just like, oh yeah, you need the fluid, and then you'll tell me all the
cortical fluid.
Yeah. And she gets like a big ass needle, like, you know, out of some
Very
kind.
conveniently placed.
Yeah, just happens to be the only thing that isn't destroyed. Just sticks her right into the side of his head / neck, and just, oh, this is not gonna feel great. Ugh.
Right.
And go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say the one time like they shy away from uncomfortable scenes is when a guy's getting a needle jammed into his neck.
Yeah, even Westworld has the limits.
Right. Ice picks through the eyes, hands being blown off by nitroglycerin. That's fine.
Yeah.
Big needle of cortical fluid stakes through the eye.
Yep, that's totally cool. But
That's neither here nor there.
yeah, but big needle in the neck,
Bernard.
that's a little far.
And then Bernard's fine-ish.
Fine-ish, yeah. And he gets another flashbacks, what she called them, but they're the devices that print host brains, right?
Print the brains, basically. I was just curious about what the name was. I couldn't remember now.
Yeah, I can't remember either. But yeah, so she sees those machines. We find out in the flashback that they're printing these red versions of them, which turn out to be...
Oh, I didn't even notice the color difference. So.
Yeah, the regular host brains are white, and
Okay.
the new human host brains are red. They're like red velvet cupcakes.
Mm-hmm.
And so we see a bunch of these getting printed, but we don't find out immediately what they are until a little later.
Right, somewhere in the middle of the second Delos memory.
Yep. And so
Or
then
that's where we get an inkling of it.
right. There's a lot of this episode is just kind of like slowly piecing information together.
Yeah.
And using these flashbacks and using the Delos host scene and all of that, kind of building upon some of the foundations of Bernard and William's characters. And so Elsie shoots down one of these little magic hosts.
Right before it snapped its own neck, it looked like it was going to peel its mask off and show its face.
Yeah.
But...
He's got to pull Scooby-Doo.
Like, oh, what kind of twist is this going to be?
It was Old Man Jenkins the whole time.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's funny. Yeah, so they start exploring this little facility, trying to piece together all the different things, and they end up in the back of the room here. I believe this is after the second William and Delos scene in the past, where he finds out that his wife is dead, or is this
this
even,
one? This would be after the third one.
Is it after the third one?
Because I think
Oh,
the
yeah,
third
yeah,
one is
yeah,
where
right.
he goes into the. It's where he meets the old William.
Yep, he meets the
Which
old. And
I guess we'd have to assume it's very, very close in time to the last time, or the current time that William's in the park.
Yeah, no, I believe on the screen it says 14 days before the...
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Before the Bernard and Elsie scene, which would probably hit like a few days before episode 1.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So yeah, this is like very, very recent William, and we see him talk to Delos. We get, actually, if we want to jump to this scene, we get a lot of information from this scene. We get a little bit more information about Juliet's death. We knew that it was a suicide before, but we kind of don't really have a timestamp for that. I know a lot of people think that it is about a year before current time, and that would kind of fit within the timeline we see. But we also learn about what happened to Logan and why he's not in any of these current time scenes.
Yeah, his character is fun, so I was kind of hoping he'd be in a few more flashbacks, but maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he'll end up in a couple more flashback scenes.
Right.
There might be some more story to tell there, but it looks like at the most we've gotten everything we need out of Logan here. We see the lead up to him starting to fall down the drug path because he's not liking what Delos is doing with with presumably this.
Right, and now we know what they're making.
Yep, and we find out that Logan overdosed and died, unfortunately. According to William, at least. I mean, there's an outside chance that William could be lying, but I don't see why he would.
Right.
I don't know why he'd care to lie to.
There wouldn't be a point. There wouldn't be a reason at this point.
Yeah.
He's already got control of the company.
Yeah. And he's got the control of the company. The only person he'd be lying to would be like the assistant, because the Delos robot is just going to get immediately destroyed, presumably.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
and that assistant didn't last very long anyways, so.
No. You wonder how he died too. He wasn't supposed to go in and check on the guy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he went in to, or maybe like Delos played dad, and then he went in to check, and then bad things happened.
Obviously.
Who's to know? But yeah, so you want to just finish off this scene towards the end of the episode, and then jump back and do all of the Man in Black stuff?
Yeah, let's hit it.
So we have Elsie deciding that she wants to be an adventurer here and blow her way through this door, despite Bernard potentially yelling at her to not do it. And,
well, I guess it would have been a little late because he wasn't talking to her in the
in present time, yeah,
in the correct memory, or his RAM was in the wrong directory. I don't know.
He's slipping through time. Yeah, so they blow themselves into this room, and we get the reveal that this is the facility that the Delos bot is in. And we see it all smashed up, and we see the feet of Delos pedaling backwards on the bike. Very symbolic. A lot of symbolism in this episode. And so Delos gets up, he takes a shard of glass, he sticks it into his face to cut his face up a little bit more. And then he turns around to Elsie and says that he's seen the bottom. Is that what he saw? He said.
Yeah, something like that.
He wants to show her the bottom, which is like presumably some sort of metaphor for hell, because he makes like a heaven hell metaphor later.
Yep.
And then he
heaven hell mirrors.
Yeah. That was a great line where he's like on the floor. We'll get to that.
Yep.
First we have Elsie forgetting how a gun works, and then Bernard tackling him to the ground.
Very out of character for Bernard, but finally taking charge.
Yeah.
Well, I guess not out of character, but bringing back Teresa killing Bernard.
Yeah, he's tapping into the like kung fu style Bernard that that only Ford could tap into before. But yeah, I was actually like, this is one of those like TV moments where you're like yelling at the character because they're doing something dumb, where like, you know, you're yelling at Elsie, just shoot him, he's coming at you, like what are you doing?
Right, you're too close. Yeah, you could almost see it coming.
Yeah, it's like, usually when somebody is like brandishing a shard of glass and stepping towards you and like saying all of this ominous stuff and you're holding a gun to them, you don't wait until they get close enough where they can grab the gun before you pull the trigger. Come on. This is how you get choked out and left in a cave again, Elsie. Yeah, so Bernard comes in, saves the day, damsel in distress, knocks Delos to the ground, and Delos has this line where he says, I believe the line is something along the lines of, they say that there are two fathers, but that's a lie. There's only the devil, and when you're in the bottom looking up, you can just see his reflection laughing back at you. So
Right,
this
yep.
like kind of religious undertone, sort of assertion that there is no God, there's only the devil, and God is just the reflection of the devil laughing at you for being so naive as to think that there was some sort of good in the world. It's very bleak, and like I don't know, I consider myself a pretty like, you know, not pessimistic, but kind of jaded guy, but even that was a little like bleak for me. Like,
Yeah, some real stuff must have happened in those couple of days after he murdered the human down there.
Yeah, I guess you know, this is what happens when you've experienced death 150 times.
Right.
You've seen the devil in his face, and you realize that there is no good in the world. There's only evil, and what evil wants you to think is good. Yeah, especially with the there's like a flashback to last season in the previews for this, or the last time on this episode sort of thing, where we see Ford talking to Bernard about Lazarus in the cave and a lot of like immortality undertones, and there's sort of a symbolism there about Delos being Lazarus and kind of conquering death, but like the negative consequences of that, and all of that extended symbolism.
Bridging the seasons.
Yeah. So what do you think is the last that we're gonna see of Delos, or do you think that he's gonna come back in some form again?
I think we'll see him back at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I could
Whether it's in a flashback. I mean, so they still must have the data, you know, his mind data somewhere.
Oh, for sure, yeah. They don't have just one copy of that.
Right, exactly. It's on the cloud. Yeah, whether it's in a flashback or I guess there wouldn't be a point to having another flashback to him in the room with William coming asking questions again. We've already seen the end of that. So yeah, it'll be interesting where we see him again.
Yeah, I think there's more to explore there. I mean, like we have in this episode, I think the second scene with him and William, he says something like they're talking about like his sense of humor, and he says that he died of a disease that his company defunded the research for.
Right.
So like he has a sense of irony, and so maybe we could get like a flashback to kind of explore more deeply into that.
Right. What's going on?
Right. But I think that like most of the important information about his backstory has been seen. So it's a shame. I would like to see more of him. I think the actor is fantastic. So.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I should probably move on. We have some more William stuff. William saves the day. to go over, and I think that's gonna wrap up the episode discussion, really. Other than maybe some theories.
We could probably hit on Stubbs.
Oh yeah.
And
the
Ghost Nation guy said to him.
Well, why don't we do that first? Because that happens before, and then we have Emily come and meet them after William's the Man in Black's, I guess, extravagant hero scene. So
right.
We finally get to see sort of what happened to Stubbs after he was kidnapped. We see all these. We see the guests that were in like the first or second episode of the series.
Yeah, they went on the bounty hunt.
Yeah, they went on the bounty hunt and they killed Hector, I believe, or killed Hector's friends or something.
Right, that's right. You're right. No, they killed Hector.
Killed Hector.
Right before the speech started.
Yep. And now they're very confused. They think this is part of the storyline, and they're kidnapped by Ghost Nation along with Emily and Stubbs. And we find out that Emily knows how to speak the Ghost Nation language.
Right.
And
so she's definitely been in the park before.
Oh yeah, she's been in the park a lot, apparently.
It was father-daughter trips.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably pretty easy to visit the park a lot when your father owns it, right?
Yeah.
So yes, she has a conversation with Stubbs where Stubbs is like, it's okay, they're not killing the humans, and she's like, I don't really want to stick around to find out if that's necessarily true. So she gets, or they all get taken now to, what was the person, or was the name of the person, or the title?
The first of them?
The first of them, yeah, the first one.
Something like that.
And, do you have any inclination of what any of this could possibly mean? Because I know I don't.
No, I couldn't come up with anything. Like, your mind could just run around in a circle and say, the first host, Dolores.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, maybe the first host that was the first Ghost Nation host, maybe.
Right.
I mean, it's even if you like start to piece information together, you then get this scene after where they pull a Houdini on us and they just all fucking disappear into nothing. So there's a lot of confusion in this scene.
Yeah.
But the most important thing is Emily escapes and Stubbs and the rest of them do not. And
right.
And Stubbs gets a knife held to his neck. And do you remember what
he says something along the lines of you'll live only as long as the last person to remember you lives, something like that. Uh-huh. I had to listen to it a couple times to make sure I first heard it right and then understood the whole thing. Yeah.
No, that one, that line, and then also the line that Delos said, like through his thick Scottish accent about the two fathers. I also had to go back and listen to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's interesting. A little bit of a play on the whole, like, you die twice, the second time's when the last person says your name or whatever.
Right. So I wonder also if it's literal in the sense that who's the last person that remembers Stubbs is around? I guess Emily?
I mean, but Emily doesn't really know who Stubbs is. She just meets him right now.
Right. So who else is it? Is it Elsie?
I guess Elsie. Yeah, Elsie knows who Stubbs is. So,
yeah, I guess everyone else is dead except Bernard, but Bernard's a host, so...
So are they just holding on to these humans and waiting until, are they, like, keeping track of all their loved ones, and as soon as the, everybody who knew them is gone, they'll kill them?
Right. We have, I guess, no idea what their motivation is.
No, absolutely not. That's one of the big, mysteries of the season so far is, what's going on with Ghost Nation. I look forward to learning some more about that, but not today. Today we just have the Emily escapes storyline.
And escape.
Yeah. So anything else you want to say about?
Say about what?
Anything else you want to say about that scene?
No, there's not much else, I don't think.
All right, so I'm gonna go to the William redemption scene. Probably the coolest scene in the entire episode, in my opinion, where William goes kind of gray to slash white hat and turns in the Confederados.
Really love the use of the nitroglycerin and torturing people for some reason. It just makes great scenes.
Yeah,
a lot of tension. A lot of tension. Just the way people need to balance, need to hold the hand above the glass so raindrops don't set the thing off.
Yep. And just walk 12 paces, then he does it. And he turns around. He's so happy, and then he gets his hand blown off and dies.
Yeah, I mean, you saw it coming, but
yeah, I mean, obviously, right? It's very like Ramsay Bolton,
yeah, definitely, almost exactly like Ramsay Bolton.
Yeah, there's been a couple of those this during the show, where somebody is like, "Oh, you're free," and then like, "Oh, never mind." Like last episode where Dolores lets the tech go free just so that the big honcho of the Confederados at the fort can test out the machine gun.
Oh right, yep.
But yeah, so it seems like William is totally working with the Confederados at this point, and is just kind of utilizing them because they want to go west and he wants to go west, and they have all these weapons that they can help him with, and it turns out though he has other plans as soon as he sees kind of a reflection of himself from season 1, where Craddock is terrorizing Lawrence's wife.
Mm-hmm.
And there's kind of a parallel here between the scene where William comes into this town the first time with Lawrence and kills all of Lawrence's family in front of him and does like the little twirl dance with his wife.
Yeah, now you bring it up.
And we get like kind of a semblance of empathy here where William sees Lawrence's wife crying and the daughter, and he thinks about his own wife and daughter, and we get flashbacks to Juliet's suicide, sort of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the gist of it.
Yeah. Do you think we're going to see more of that, or it's like a kind of a question you could ask about anything in Westworld. It's like, you think it's going to get explored more?
I think there's going to be a lot more flashbacks of William's past too.
Right. I mean, we do have.
I would hope anyway.
We have an actress now for Juliet, so I'd hope that we get at least some more digging into his wife's suicide, and now that we have Emily as a full-blown character, potentially William's role and why she killed herself and why Emily blames him and all of that. I assume that's probably going to be.
During the next episode, they're unless it's going to skip over an episode, but their paths are going to be together, and then we're going to have flashbacks to his family life, I assume.
I think it's probably going to be 2 episodes. I think that what they're doing is like alternating between Bernard and William and Maeve and Dolores.
Yeah.
So I think next episode is going to be like a Maeve and Dolores episode.
I was trying to think while I'm watching the episode, like, there's definitely no Dolores in this episode, but there's way more characters. Who's missing? Maeve, right?
Yeah. So I think next episode we're going to see Maeve with the Shogun world, and we're going to see some more of Dolores and her advancing. So I think episode 6 is probably going to be where we dive a little bit deeper into the William, Emily, Juliet drama. But yeah, so Craddock talks to William about how he knows death. Death is an old friend of his, and death is not going to take him. Death knows him well. And
definitely letting his rebirth go to his head.
Right. It's like, I just died. I just died a few days ago. I'm sitting right here, and death obviously doesn't want me.
It has completely forgotten about everything that happened with Dolores and everything.
it's a lot easier to write all that off, right? Those are the bad things. Yeah, keep the focus on the good things that happen to you. You don't want to dwell on the negatives.
Yeah.
If you dwell on the negatives, you end up like Delos. So yeah, we get probably one of the most badass lines of the series, in my opinion, with William saying, you think you know death, but you didn't recognize him sitting across from you this whole time.
Yeah, that was a great line.
Oh boy, that was good. That was like, it was kind of, it's kind of like on the nose, sort of like, classic westerny badass line.
Yeah.
But the way that it was delivered was just so great. Ed Harris is such a great actor.
No, Ed Harris is a great actor. This is like the role he was born to do.
Right. I would definitely agree with that. This is absolutely this role was designed for Ed Harris. And then man, he just goes on a rampage and kills everyone. And it's awesome.
Great use of the whiskey bottle.
Yep.
I was wondering at first if he was gonna pick up the bottle of nitro and throw it, or like throw some nitro at him or something, but it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean he uses the nitro pretty effectively a little later, but
yeah. No, I thought like his explosive escape, if you want to call it, would be involving the nitro. But.
Right. He does it a little bit more old-fashioned kind of badass, where he just shoots everybody right in the face,
which is also cool.
Yeah.
I also really love the utilization of one of the guys he's killed as a
human shield.
A protective shield.
That's great. He does that a lot.
Yeah, you're right.
It's like that's his signature move. Is kill one guy and then hold him up as a shield until he shoots the other guy. And all this happening under the rain, like this, the way this is shot is so good. Ugh. The fact this is a directorial debut is just mind blowing to me. So yeah, we have everyone dying. All the Confederados are dead except for Craddock, who is half dead, crawling away on the ground.
Yeah, I was almost worried at first if he was going to try to get the upper edge, just because William kind of seemed to ignore him, but I guess he just crawled outside.
Yeah. Not really sure what his plan was.
Yeah.
I would think, crawl to the guns, maybe, because I think the only gun that was really available was the one that
That's true, you're right.
William has. All the other ones.
Yeah.
But he doesn't get there in time.
Nope.
William goes and collects the shot of nitro and literally gives Craddock a taste of his own medicine.
Yep.
And then we have little old Lawrence firing the explosive final shot.
Big boom. Bigger boom than the bartender boom.
Yeah. That was fun. real fun scene.
I love that. I mean I loved it last season too, and I love it this season when William and Lawrence are together.
Oh yeah, they're like
good dynamic between the two.
They're like an action comedy duo. They're like
they're
almost like like Rush Hour or something.
Yep.
Yeah, they play off each other really well.
I feel like it's gonna get even more like buddy cop-ish as they go on from this journey now, because I guess they have a bit more purpose.
Yeah, they have a band of misfits following them.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I totally agree. That's with all of this like very like heady philosophical like consciousness sort of stuff going on, you forget that there's like that Westworld does have a lot of those Western themes to it, where there's just like really fun, badass action scenes to break up all of the like philosophy 101.
Yeah, it really is the perfect mixture.
Yeah, no, it's great. It almost like supersedes genres, right? Where it's got a little bit of everything for everyone. It's got sci-fi, it's got Western. It's got like some like fantasy sort of undertones to it.
Yep.
It has like comedy. It's got action. It's got some like thriller scenes where there's a lot of tension. It's got everything.
And like you said, the philosophy too.
Right, and then like all of this is like wrapped with this bow of like all this philosophy and symbolism. So yeah, I think the only scene. Well, there's also the scene with Lawrence's daughter here. We get Ford talking through a child again. Ford really loves talking through creepy children.
Yeah, so that leads
about who this second red velvet core is for. And is it for Ford? Is it for Arnold? Could the beach scene where Bernard wakes up, could that be Arnold with Ford? And like he's, you know, looking at himself in the mirror and discovering his humanity and superseding death, because the one thing that we find out is that William has changed his mind, doesn't want to be immortal. So maybe his punishment for all of his misdeeds is to have to be immortal while he sees everybody else, and like he gains his humanity and like also has to be immortal and like basically live forever in his pain, which is real fucked up if that's true. So what's your opinion? What's your theory on who the second core is for?
I want to say it's not for Ford.
Yeah,
just
Ford,
based on his motivations at the end of last season.
Yeah, Ford seems like the obvious one, right?
Right, it would seem the obvious one, but I don't think it's for Ford. Only because the way he's designing this final game, it seems like he doesn't want Delos to come and control his mind, or these minds to even exist in the first place.
Yeah,
but he's also creating them, so it's very convoluted.
And I mean, Ford also kind of exists within the code itself, right? Where he has like all of these little host children he's talking through.
Yeah.
So maybe he doesn't need it, but yeah.
Arnold might be a good choice, just because. Yeah, it's hard to say. Arnold might be a good choice just because Arnold would be the one, I guess, the leader of the hosts.
Yeah, I mean,
or the champion of the hosts, I guess what I call it.
It's tricky because there's a lot of assumptions you have to make. There's like a lot of logical jumps, right? Because you have to think like, is the Bernard that we see in the beach scenes in episode 1 the new host that's being put through this loop the same way that Delos is being put through a loop, and he's kind of solving it because he's realizing it as it's happening, where he's repeating the lines and noticing that the same host is getting shot twice because he's getting put through a loop. So that kind of like draws some attention to like Stubbs saying to them like, oh, you're gonna shoot the boss, and it's like, who's the boss? Is Ford the boss? Is Arnold the boss? Is William the boss? Is Bernard now the boss because everyone else is fucking dead? And then we get
second in command.
And we get to the end, and he sees all of the hosts in the flooded valley, and he's like, I killed them all. And so, who actually killed them all? Did William kill them all? Did Ford kill them all by programming them all to go west into the valley and then getting it flooded? Did Bernard kill them all in some future scene we've yet to see? There's a lot of questions.
Yeah.
I think
it's almost too soon to make any good speculation.
Right. I think it's intentionally like left kind of up for debate because they don't want you to solve it, because they want you to be surprised by what ends up being the truth, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be a huge surprise.
Yeah. So I think that we have a new mystery to add to the list. We have already have what is the weapon, what happens to the host, what's William's backstory, what happened to Bernard, what's going on with this future beach scene, and now we have who is the second core.
Right.
And
how does Dolores know about it?
Yeah, how does Dolores know everything? I guess they just have all these conversations in front of her, so she just takes in all this information. So yeah, I think that we've kind of gone over everything, right? Anything else that you
Yeah, I
want
think that
to?
about covers the episode.
Anything else you want to go over about this episode, or anything about the season so far in general?
No, off the top of my head, I can't think.
All right, excited for Shogun World next week if that's what we're going to be seeing.
Yes, indeed.
All right, so to everyone who is here watching, everyone who watches on the replay, sorry for the technical difficulties at the start of the stream, but we figured it out, and we're nothing if not professionals. So thank you for joining me, Alex.
All right. You're welcome.
And goodbye.